Church intro video. Church intro video.
Church intro video. Church intro video. So normally you like you communicate with me when you're getting ready to hit that button. And I didn't hear anything. I just saw the video changing, and I was like, yeah, because normally you're like, okay, here we go. I'm gonna push the button, and I just saw the video moving, and I was like, is there something wrong with my headphones again? Why don't I hear him talking?
I said, uh-oh, here we go. I gotta start this late now.
I didn't hear any of that. I didn't hear anything until you said church intro video.
Yet your headphones are acting silly again, because I was watching my voice bounce.
But I didn't change anything
I know.
on my end.
Technology is forever things.
Forever awful?
I don't want to say awful, but it is not always. It does not always behave in a way that you would want it to. And I would say that it only behaves in the way it's programmed to, but that's accurate and inaccurate at the same time. Because
What's up, Biggs? Joining us on Twitch. Welcome.
you know, that first commercial I can't turn off. I turn off all the other ones, but that first one is a Twitch one that I can't control.
He's alright. It is what it is. Yeah, technology's weird.
I'm waiting for the day where I forget to turn the commercials off overall, and someone gets a commercial mid-church.
And they're like, yeah, you guys were talking about something I was really interested in, and they went to commercial. And then when you came back, you were talking about something completely different. I don't know what happened. Oopsies. Alright, 2 minutes.
I agree, Biggs. It's normal. If you blink, we've changed topics.
It does feel that way sometimes, doesn't it? We're talking about one thing and just bunny trail. One minute.
It's weird. You've all day been like 3 seconds late, and right there you were 2 seconds early.
All day, huh?
You know, all 3 times you said it.
I was not yawning this much until you started the countdown, and now I just keep yawning. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know I'm tired. My nap did not, like, satisfy well.
Oh, yeah?
Face live! Face live!
Face Live! Excellent.
Mm-mm.
No,
Mm-mm.
no Wayne's World
Mm-mm.
reference tonight.
Mm-mm.
You sure?
I mean, you made it, so I'm obviously not that sure, but,
Already made it. I already did it. No, there's no putting that cat back in the bag.
Well, our other members won't because you haven't said you haven't taken your pause and then said hello yet, and so
That's
our
right.
our
I
wonderful
haven't.
podcast people have no idea this interaction even happened, unless I
Zadie's
just
here on
mess up.
Twitch. What's up, Zadie? That is the
Your audio just went to crap and then left.
How about now? Is it good now?
It is good now.
Okay.
What was that?
I don't know.
It like straight roboted you and then just like,
And then just cut out.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
It's gonna be one of them nights, ain't it?
I guess so.
Alright, now it's time for the pause and the words.
That was the pause. Did you see me pause? I paused everything. Like my face paused, everything paused. Hello and welcome to season 4, episode 6 of the Berean Manifesto. Faith, hope, and love for the modern Christian. I'm Pastor Bill, and I'm joined, as always, by Pastor Nooms. How you
Hola.
doing, Pastor Nooms?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
How was your week?
It was good. How was yours?
It was pretty good. I'm trying to think if I did a whole lot. Not really. I worked and and I played some games. Um, so like every week. Um, I'm trying to think if we did anything special. I don't think we did anything special. Other than I actually went to lunch with some um couples from another church that are friends of Tina's, the wife is, and so I actually like socialized a bunch today. And so that was weird.
Well, that explains why you're so tired.
It does explain probably why I'm so tired because
You tried to blame it on a poor nap, but
I
you were socializing, so
I didn't think about it. But it's funny because in our household, I really me and Sarah are the only extroverts. Everyone else is introverted. And it's funny because everyone views me as an extrovert, but I'm not. I'm just really, really good at masking. And so everyone assumes like, oh yeah, he loves being around people and he loves talking and he loves all the and I'm just like I'm tired. And so that could be why. That actually makes more sense than a poor nap because it, yeah. But I actually yeah, it was good. It was good though. And then the church we've been going to, the Spring House in Smyrna, is good. It's actually been a very enjoyable experience, which is good. And the girls are getting more and more involved with the groups there, and it's been good. It's been good. So,
awesome.
and I think that's all. I put some book. Ooh, I did do something fun. So Monday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and
Indeed.
so we went to the store and bought a bunch of bookcases. Put them together. Zadie's actually putting the last two together right now because we didn't finish on Monday. But got a bunch of bookcases and actually have all of our books out again, which is super nice
Nice.
because we have not had them out since we moved.
Mm.
And it was really funny because the girls, it's been so many years since we moved and kind of like forgot like a large portion of our books, and even we forgot some of our duplicates and some of series that you started and then the author finished, but you just never bought all of them because
Mhm.
time and boxes. Um, and you're like, oh yeah, what happened with that series? Oh yeah, that's really great. And um, Rain was like, there are so many books that I want to read on your shelves. And I'm like, okay, go for it. Um, but always ask permission. Don't take books off daddy's shelves without asking permission because not all of them are appropriate for all ages. So please do not just grab a book off the shelf because some are horror, you
She
know.
she
Um,
felt like Belle seeing the Beast's library for the first time.
well, it's like 5 full-size bookshelves just full of books. And then at the moment, aside from that, I've the two that she's putting together, uh, we've got like our whole dining room table all week actually has been covered in our educational and biblical study books because those didn't we just kind of started putting stuff on shelves and those were the boxes we opened last. Um, and so some of those are going to come up here and some of those are going to go into the office and those types of things. I mean the homeschool room. But it's just really funny because it's like oh we're not even done and says has not um, unpacked his books yet from his move, but we've got 2 bookshelves here in the office for him, and that's one of the things we might try to do this week, depending on the weather, of unpacking his books as well. So it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of stuff just kind of everywhere. And had to go to the dump and get rid of all that cardboard because that's a lot of cardboard. There's a lot of cardboard when you put together that many bookcases. Um, a lot of cardboard. So,
Yep.
what did you do this week?
I enjoyed not feeling like crap.
That's good.
Um, so there was that. Um, Nothing out of the ordinary. Went and spent a day with my mom on Thursday
No.
instead of Wednesday because her husband had family in town, so
Oh,
we couldn't go over there on Wednesday.
I was like, wait a second. What about that's our
Um,
Wednesday thing?
yeah, that's a Wednesday thing normally.
And Biggs is correct. With Sez's books, it might not happen this week if it continues to be as stormy as it has been today. Um,
Hmm.
I'm a little honestly surprised he's up with how stormy it's been all day. Um, but well, that's good.
Yeah, so that's about it. Yeah. All right. Well, if we've got our weeks out of the way, I guess it's time for getting to know the pastors. And that would be my week. So I will pull a card. Are you ready?
No, I'm barely ever ready for my cards. I am never ready for yours.
You're never ready for my cards.
Mm-mm. No. But let's go. Let's go.
Okay. Here we go. All right. The card says, who or where would you haunt if you were a ghost?
Okay, so 3 questions to quantify the answer. One, what type of ghost are we talking? We talking can move things, can or am I just there and they kind of maybe know? Are we talking like vengeful spirit ruin their lives on a daily basis and they have no idea how it's happening gremlin style? Or are we talking just like ghost? Just like I'm floating around, they can see me, but I can't affect anything.
I think you have the freedom to craft your answer by your own will. So whatever kind of ghost you want to be, craft your answer around that.
Hmm. So this would assume that I am dead. So there's this show that came out in the hmm, was it the aughts, Pastor Bill?
Yeah, I believe that's when Dresden came out.
Okay, and it's based on a book series. It's pretty good. Um, the show didn't do it justice, in my opinion. The books are a lot better. Um, but called the Dresden Files, and he had a teacher. He was a warlock, and he had a teacher, right? He was a warlock, not a wizard, right?
He was more of a wizard. His uncle was the warlock.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's been so many years since I've read them. Another one that I probably should go downstairs and read again. But anyway, um, so there was this skull, and it was his teacher's skull. It was some family member, wasn't it? Or was it just a family friend? I
I'm
don't
not so sure on those
I
details.
don't remember. But the skull had the spirit still attached to it, and it could show up, and it was just like rude. And in the show, it had no abilities. It couldn't affect the world around it. In the books, it had just a little. Like it could like move a piece of paper or like like those types of things. But that's what I'd want to be, where everyone could see it, but only when I came out of the possessed object, and like just be able to walk around and just be snooty to people in rooms. Just pop out and be like and on the mantle of the house, and so that way when Zadie's new husband comes walking in the room, I can just pop out and be like, you know what? You're a and then just go back in the skull and go back to sleep.
Zadie's new husband.
Things like that.
You
When
know
Zadie
what? Paper cut.
when Zadie passes and it goes on to the kids, I can like pop out and scare my son-in-laws and be like, "Hey, I'm still watching you." Pop back in the skull. Little things.
That
Just
is not how you clean cast iron.
yeah.
Stop it.
If you use Dawn one more time, I'm burning this house down. Um, little things. Just little things. And then also be able to impart knowledge and wisdom of, Daddy, I need to talk to you. All right, what's up? I think it would be fun. Um, to the point where, so I told, ever since that show, we've joked about, when I'm cremated, keeping my skull and putting it somewhere just for ass and giggles, right? And Zadie's always been like, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. I think it'd be weird. I don't know, like put you on the mantle and then like other people are in town and they're like, who's that? Like what is that? Oh, that's actually my deceased husband's skull. And she's like, that's far for me. Well, recently we were joking about that and Rain was like, I'll do it. And I was like, yeah, that's my goth. Like, she's straight up like, I'll do it. It'll be right there. I'll just put it in the middle of the room and just be like, that's my father's skull. You got a problem with it? And I'm like, that's my girl. And Sarah's like, wait, I want something. I was like, you can have a femur. It'll be fine. Like, so,
Oh my gosh.
um,
Have a femur.
I, I, that's my answer. And in that, um, that is pretty much. Now, I will also say about cast iron, I am going to have to actually use some cleaning product. It will not be Dawn, of course, but a cleaning product of some sort on the outside. The bottom of my cast iron has gotten a little bit crazy, and so I am going to have to clean the bottom of it, but I will not be, of course, using harsh chemicals. Um, the inside, I never use harsh chemicals. The outside, I will have to use some chemical though, because it has gotten. I might or might not have. The girls are like, "There's fire on the pan, Dad." I'm not stirring that. And you're like, yeah, there's some grease on the bottom. Like, I gotta get rid of it. Like, like the bottom of the pan is on fire. No, 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 it's not. You're seeing things. Don't,
That's your
don't.
imagination.
That's your
That's not.
imagination. That's why is that fire a different color than the gas stove? I don't know. I don't know. You're fine. You're fine. It's safe. Just go stir the meat. Um, what kind of
You're fine.
ghost?
You're fine.
What what kind of ghost would you be, and whom, Pastor Bill?
Okay, so if I had to be a ghost, I would want to be like able to pull pranks and stuff. So I want to be able to move stuff and interact with things, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to go like live at the Vatican and just be like playing pranks on like the Pope and stuff for the rest of the time that Earth exists.
You would choose to go prank a religious organization.
It'd be so much fun.
All right.
They'd be
Hmm.
like, "We have to cast this evil spirit out of here," and I'd be like critiquing their Latin while they're chanting and like, "Ha ha, you guys are funny."
Haha, I'm not an evil spirit, so you can't cast me out. I'm a ghost from a podcast joke.
I'm a
Haha.
ghost from a podcast bit. You can't cast me out. What's even scarier is it's a ghost from a Protestant podcast bit. Whoa.
Oh man.
So scary.
So something. Hmm.
All right. So, season 4 of the Berean Manifesto, we've been going back through Genesis. We spent some time in John, but we mainly been in Genesis. And last week, we ended in Genesis chapter 1, verse 9,
Mhm.
where um, God said, sorry, I was trying to reach to grab my Bible.
Almost
If I
like you
read
didn't
it
just
from
have the last
eastward,
24 minutes to prepare.
I didn't think about pulling out my actual Bible. And if I read it from eastward, it's going to be in King James. Okay. Then God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. That's where we ended last week. And so this week we're in verse 10, and we're most likely going to go all the way through verse 13. God called the dry land earth, and the gathering of water he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth produce vegetation, seed bearing plants, and fruit trees on the earth, bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds." And it was so. The earth produced vegetation, seed bearing plants according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Evening came, and then morning, the third day. Give me a second. I got to let the dog out of my room. Otherwise, she's going to start throwing a fit.
And I'll have to remember to edit this part off of the main part of the podcast while um so that way it doesn't look like we do 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 do.
So it doesn't look like we what?
Just like so that doesn't go out in the podcast cuz that's weird.
Oh, whatever. It'd be
I'll,
like, oh, they're human beings.
no, no we're not. You have no proof.
Okay. So verse 10,
I'm a meat suit.
and I'm a meat suit. Got bones too.
Yes, but the
And God
outside is
called
just a suit.
a suit that holds in soup. God called the dry land earth, and the gathering of the water he called seas, and God saw that it was good. All right, so we're still dealing with this this word that is plural for God here, right? H430, Elohim,
Mm-hmm.
gods, or angels, or divinities, or divine beings is a really, it's a word with a lot of latitude. And once again, that's because this particular chapter is actually borrowed, right? This chapter was added when the Israelites were in captivity in Babylonia and Babylonia in Babylon. And these are actually the accounts of other religions and other cultures of what the creation was like. And they've incorporated this as the first chapter. Up until that point, Genesis started with what we number as chapter 2. And those, those numbers are relatively modern in the grand scheme of things as it is. There was no chapter and verse back in the day. It was what it was. Okay, so we're the gods, um, called, which is kara, which is that address by name, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you call out someone's name, like you're answering the phone, you're like, names, addressed by name. Um, Yabasha, which is the same kind of dry as we talked about before. Remember we talked about Yabasha being from the idea of if water evaporating out of something so that it becomes dry. Not
Mm-hmm.
that it was always dry, but that it was wet and then it became dry. So dry land. And then we get the word eretz. Now, eretz has been used for different things throughout the scriptures. It's the word firm, it's the word country, it's the word earth, field, ground, land, wilderness, world. It's a pretty wide word, right? Um, and so we're not fully sure what God intended um, in the use of this word, but it went on to mean all of these things: firm, country, earth, field, ground. So we get the idea of what this is that he's referring to um, by our own experience, right? We understand that what this word is by our own experience. And then, excuse me, we see H4723, which can be said as Mikyeh, Mikyeh, or Mikyeh, Mikyeh. Sorry, three different pronunciations of the same word sometimes get confusing. And that is when you take a collection of things and you bring them together, right? And it says, and the gathering of the water. So it's this plural thing, bringing together the plural waters. And then again, Kara, H7121, addressed by name, Nooms, that thing, the seas. Now, he didn't actually call it the seas, and he didn't call it the waters, and he didn't call it anything that we would normally associate to mean a body of water unless you're specifically talking about an ocean. Because the word is yam, which means to roar. So that word where it says, and he called it seas, he called it to roar. Is that it gathered all the waters together and called it to roar. So that sound of waves crashing in, that roaring sound of the water when the water's crashing in on the shore, sometimes in the lake if you've got high winds, sometimes in a sea if you've got a storm, but definitely the ocean. The shore along the ocean, you hear that crashing of water with those waves. That idea is what he named that gathering together of all of those waters down here, right? Remember, God had separated the waters above from the waters below. And we talked about a lot of people believe those waters above are just the cloud layer. And then we have some people that believe there was an actual physical barrier. And on the other side of that barrier was lots and lots and lots of water. And then we have some people that believe the water's still there. We have other people that believe that some of the water from the flood was actually released from that when the firmament broke. Some people believe there's still a solid firmament up above our heads and that we've never gone to space and that there is no space. And you get some really varied theories on alternate reality um, if you dig deep enough online. So now we're at, and God saw that it was good in Genesis 1:10. And we're still once again using that plural word for God, Elohim, gods. And we see Ra'ah, to see, and then Ki, certainly, and then Tob, the widest sense of good. We've dealt with all these words before. To see, certainly, and the widest sense of good. We saw that earlier before, right? We saw that with light when he created light in verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the same thing, except in verse 4, it wasn't Ra'ah, it was Ra'ah eighth, right? Because in verse 4, God compares the light to what he sees within himself,
Mm-hmm.
recognizes the light as good, as being part of himself, and declares it good. But here, when he looks at the dry land and the seas and their separation and all of them in their own places, he doesn't do the same thing. It's not the same idea of looking inside of himself. This is simply God looking at the roaring of the waters, looking at the land, and going, you know what? That's a good thing. I think that's good. And I know it doesn't sound like there's a huge difference there, but there really is. There's really a huge difference there because in the light, God saw something of himself and said, oh, yeah, that and I have something in common. And it's good because it's like me. It has something in common with me. I find that inside of myself, and that's good. Whereas here, he's not saying it's like him. He's not saying it's got qualities like himself. He's not saying he's like it. He's just saying, well, that is good. Good outside of himself. Good
Mm-hmm.
unlike himself, but still good. Because there can be things good that aren't godly, and there can be things that are godly that are good. And both scenarios can exist, right? It's not that everything that's good is godly. Things can be good and not be godly. Things can be bad and not be evil, right? Sometimes we draw these harsh lines, once again, of black and white when humans don't deal in black and white. And reality doesn't deal in black and white. We deal in all these grays, right? Okay.
Spectrums. Lots and lots and lots of spectrums.
So many spectrums. Yeah. And then you get Spectrum Internet, and it's like, come on, guys. Come on. Was that a step too far? He's growling at me. It was a step too far.
And we're gonna hope that that doesn't get edited out by any of the audio services. We'll see if
The
it does or
growling?
not. Yes.
Okay, so now we're in verse 11.
Mm-hmm.
Then God said, let the earth produce vegetation, seed bearing plants, and fruit trees on the earth, bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And it was so. I went through and I looked at every one of these words, um, and just, to figure out, is there something poetic going on here? Is there something deeper to this verse? And there really wasn't. There's when you break it down word by word, it basically is just what you see on the surface there. I mean, we're talking about the plural for God there still, Elohim. We haven't switched out of the plural yet.
Hmm.
When we do, I'll let you know. Um, it was less said and more commanded, but that's nothing new for this section that we're in. Um, everything else is basically pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's the same earth that is used above.
Mhm.
Seed is seed, or
Yeah,
figuratively
is
fruit, seed.
a
You know,
sprout, a
like
grass, or an herb,
seed is seed is seed,
seed.
and
Yeah,
not seed and the I do find the humorousness between grass and herb though. Those two are funny just in and of
yeah.
themselves because grass is H 1877, which is a sprout
Hmm.
by analogy grass, tender grass, green, or a tender herb. Um, and then herb is um,
To glisten like grass.
yeah, like grass or grass, or grass
Or
or an
grass.
herb, and you're like, I can imagine sitting in the room where they're translating this and they're looking at it going, the
Yeah.
person who's in charge of this part is like, both
I,
these words are the same.
these why are
I,
these two different words? It's the same
we're gonna,
thing. I
and
don't,
so then they had to go get in cultural contexts and things like that to try to make those
yeah.
determinations. But it's funny because it really the words mean, even though they are honestly vastly different words to a degree. They've got five of the
Uh,
same letters in them, but very different words that mean very similar things. All that green crap. That's pretty much what. They're two words that mean green crap. Um, and I say that
green.
for those of you out there that don't know, I am allergic to pretty much everything that would be listed in this group of vegetation and seed bearing plants. All of that is an allergic reaction just waiting to happen for me. So um, that's why I call it green crap. Just so you know, I'm not calling God's creation crap for any reason other than my body doesn't like it.
Although after we eat it,
Don't eat grass.
I mean, you could.
No, no. Lots of internet professionals have said don't eat grass. It was a whole TikTok thing for a while, if you don't remember.
Lots of internet professionals.
Don't eat grass. And cook your green beans. Don't eat
The
them straight.
internet's for professionals. The internet's for
No. See, you know
professionals.
how earlier you went too far? This time you went farther than too far. Because anyone who knows that
How
beat,
is that for the too far?
that song is now stuck in the head of anyone who knows that beat. And your co-host now has to
Come
try
on.
to last the entire rest of the thing without saying the phrase. And
It's a catchy tune written by a man who writes children's songs professionally.
I
Come
get
on.
that.
What's wrong with it? Anyway. All right, Genesis 1:12 then is basically just the fulfillment of 1:11. The earth produced vegetation, seed-bearing plants according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds, and God saw that it was good. Now, the idea there is that a lot of people want to say um God said, let there be vegetation and plants and fruit trees. And they say, and it just immediately happened. It just existed. It was so. It was right then and there. It happened right then and there. And yeah, that's what verse 11 says. But then verse 12 comes back and says, except it didn't. It happened the normal way. It started when God said it, but then the earth produced the vegetation and the seed bearing plants according to their kinds, and the trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw it was good. So God did command it to happen on the third day. He did. Because verse 13 is now going to say, evening came and then morning, the third day. But in the context of the actual verses here on the page, when you're reading through the verses, it wasn't this instantaneous, miraculous trees just popped up out of the ground and grass just popped up out of the ground. And we only know that because verse 12 tells us that it then had to be produced. The vegetation and the seed bearing plants and the trees bearing fruit, it all had to be produced, right? And then we had even more evidence of that if we then jump, we step out and we jump ahead, we see where it says that God placed two specific trees in the midst of the garden, right? Not caused to grow, not commanded. He straight up places
Two
these
things.
two
Yep.
trees, right? And so we have this contrast here of, oh, well, before he commanded it, and then the next verse tells us, oh, well, then it had to take the time to actually happen,
Well, and
versus
the weird part,
placing the trees.
the weird part about it, the part for me that makes it seem more like the growth is not just the brought forth, but
Mm-hmm.
it says the plants according to their kinds and trees bearing fruits with seeds in it according to their kinds. And when you look at the KJV in it, herb yielding seed after its kind and tree yielding fruit whose seed in itself after its kind, can't state that it was going to yield seed after its kind and create more if it didn't happen that way. So if you believe in a literal translation and you believe in following it literally, that that verse specifically states that there is time for it to produce seed and something else to grow from it. It plainly says, so it is interesting sometimes the thought process, was it faster than normal? I don't know. Does time exist fully at this point? I don't know. Um, but um, I, we're going
Well, I
off
mean,
of.
technically, when we say the word day here, we're still using the word yom, which means to be hot.
Hmm. As
And
in
and
warm
and
hours.
yeah, warm hours, and then it's
Literally
just,
sunrise to sunset, but it can also mean often
well, it
used
became to
as an
mean
adverb.
sunrise to sunset
Yeah,
in English.
yeah.
But is that what it meant
In this context.
in the context
Yep.
of when it happened?
Yeah. And then
There
sometimes
are
it can
those,
it can even mean full age, full year.
yeah. So there are
Um,
those that
yeah.
have speculated that the hot times were like the Earth going through cycles, you know, ice ages and then hot times, like we're in a hot time right now, and that to God's perspective, the hot times were a day.
Yeah. There's a lot of literal that can be here that it's one of those things where it's like, well, I didn't write it and I wasn't there.
Yeah,
Um,
I wasn't there. I don't.
I
It's like when you get into arguments on the internet and people are like, "No, it happened this way," and the other one's like, "No, it happened this way," and I'm like, neither one of you were there. You're literally just arguing about things you heard someone else say that you decided to believe. You
Looking at
don't
you,
even know.
news organizations.
Yeah.
Eyewitness accounts have stated that. Oh wait, we were wrong.
Wait, no, they didn't. My bad.
Jim Bob just had too much to drink yesterday. Sorry,
Jimbo.
anyone out there named Jim Bob or with a close family friend named Jim Bob. I am not insulting Jim Bobs overall. Just that specific Jim Bob that in my head um, had
Listen,
too much to drink
anybody
that day.
named
Nope,
Jimbo
nope, don't go there.
has the wherewithal of conscious thought to go, yeah, he's probably talking about me. I probably favor the bottle too much. It's okay. I can quit anytime. It's okay.
It's okay, I can quit anytime. That
I
sounds
just don't want
familiar.
to.
That sounds
I
familiar.
just don't want
All
to.
right, you're hitting a little too close to home. It's time to move on. Those are not phrases I have used in the past before being sober. Move on. I don't have a problem. I can quit.
Oh, man. If you have a problem with alcoholism or drug abuse, please seek professional help.
Please.
If
Not Jim Bob.
you're just enjoying yourself from time to time and you don't have a problem, then just be safe out there. Just
Exactly.
be responsible.
Everyone has
You
to make
know,
choices.
don't deny if you have problems and don't make a problem out of something that isn't. I'm out of verses that I prepared for tonight, and it's only 7:18.
Um,
You
we
want to
can
talk
talk
about
some more
Star
about
Wars?
Jim Bob. I wonder what my
There's no character named Jim Bob in Star Wars.
I wonder what my great uncle Jim's middle name is. If it's Bob, I'm gonna laugh real hard.
It's probably Bob.
I'm not texting my
Did you,
grandmother.
did you see that post online that the notice they posted in that Waffle House about all drug use should take place
In
in
the
the cooler
restroom.
or the break room or in your car,
Uh huh.
not out where customers can see it.
Uh
And
huh.
this includes crack cocaine, marijuana, black tar heroin.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Waffle House operates on a whole different scale than the rest of us. I mean,
It is. There is actually some people who believe it is a supernatural entity. And it's just that and Family Dollar is they operate on their in their own subspace of time and um cosmos. I think they're all aliens. Anyone that works at either of those two places, they're not actually human. They're, it's a cover. Um,
like Mattress Firm.
Actually, Mattress Firm makes sense. Sadly,
It's just money laundering. That's
no,
all that is.
it actually does make sense because if you look at their economic, like the amount of markup on every mattress, they only have to make, I want to say it's a sale and a half a day to stay profitable. So it's there was this whole
What are
I
they making the mattresses out of? If a sale and a half a day is a profit.
imagine Walmart markups that you know offhand because of working there,
Okay. Yeah.
and and then make it more.
Okay. Wow.
And then you deal with like a king size mattress is several $100s. Rent on the building is what? You're only paying people, you know, small wages plus commission. It's not hard to.
Yeah, I'll never forget the first time I was changing tags on televisions, and the Telzon had me selling a TV for $900 that Walmart paid $75 for. That just that changed my whole perspective.
I'm gonna have to call my grandmother after this and explain why I just asked that question. But it is not Bob. So
Hey, what's Uncle Jim's middle name?
I
Why do you need to know? Oh, I'm just reading obits and
I
just
I
trying to
didn't
catch up on current
I
affairs.
didn't ask for Uncle. I just said what is Jim's. But yes, I did. But it's his name is actually not Jim either. It is actually short for Jimmy.
James?
Jimmy. J I
Jimmy?
Jimmie.
What is Jimmy short for?
No, that's his legal name is Jimmy.
Jimothy?
Jimmie. No, I'm looking at the
It's not
text.
Jimothy?
I'm looking at the text
Oh,
from
okay.
my grandmother right now.
Okay. Okay. I knew a Jedediah once.
We had a long
Yeah.
conversation about that. So one
About what?
of at this church that we're going to, and I've been telling people at the church about this podcast, so hopefully none of them have started listening yet and will after this one. But there's a gentleman
Why?
named,
What's wrong with this one?
because I'm gonna say some crap. There's
Oh, you're gonna talk some.
no,
You're not
I'm not
about
gonna
to
talk.
spill tea, are you?
No tea spilt.
Because
Um,
we shouldn't be gossiping.
no, there's no gossip. There's a gentleman named Jed, and he's super nice, ex-military. Lived out there in El Paso for a long time, a couple years, and now is back here, and he works. He's one of the volunteers in the youth department. Super nice. And as soon as he turns around, Zadie looks at me and goes, "Do you think that's short for Jedediah?" Like in dead seriousness, and I'm like, "I hope so." Um,
I hope so.
because it's one of those names where you're like, "What's it short for?"
I like the name Jedediah.
I agree. But it's one of those names where you're like, man, I hope that's short for something because it's really cool when it's short for something.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna laugh if she I just said good. It's not Bob. Thank you.
Good, it's not
I'm
Bob.
gonna have to call her later and explain. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't making fun of him
Oh,
accidentally.
man.
She will not be surprised by any of that because she knows me and I do be talking sometimes.
You crazy, man.
Only on days that end with W.
Crazy. No days end in W, though.
What?
Not a single one of them.
Huh?
Not a single day ends in W.
Are you sure?
I'm about 99.99% sure that all the days end in Y. What are you doing? What are you looking up? What could you possibly be looking up?
What are you looking up?
Big says this is from JDH, and I don't know what that means.
I don't either. Um Actually, lots of days end in W. Yep.
Okay. I'll
I-
take your word for it, I
In
guess. If
in
you're not going to elaborate.
in lots of different languages. I did
Oh, in
not
other
I did
languages.
not just open up a list of um this is a lot of languages. But the first language on here, lots of things end with what would be the English W. It's not, but the symbol is an English W when you translate it into English. Actually, here's a second one because day is Kaw.
Caw, caw.
Yeah, and I have no idea where this language is from. I'm gonna butcher what the language even is. It's at Ikamen Ikara. Oh, it's a variety of Cree. Um, spoken in Quebec. So in Quebec, all the days end in W. So I'm only crazy in Quebec.
Outside of Quebec. Oh, inside Quebec.
Right. Um,
Right.
I mean, I can keep going. We're just in the A's, but I'm sure there's probably another language somewhere that
I'm only crazy when I'm in Quebec. That's like the craziest thing you've ever said
I'm
in
o-
your whole
I'm
life.
only crazy when I'm in Quebec hanging out with the Cree people. Um,
I'm only crazy in Quebec
I almost feel like
when
I've
I'm on the res in Quebec.
I've never wanted to go to Canada. Like it's never been like on my list of, oh, I want to go to Canada.
It
Now I
is
do.
now, though.
What's on your bucket list? Well, there's this joke I always make that I'm only this, like I'm only something on days that end with W, and your people group, your language, your native tongue, lots of words end in W, and so yeah, I wanna.
It's a lifelong fulfillment of a dream.
For all the stuff I have talked for so many years, and that's really the main one, but it's not every day there either.
No?
Um, no, because some days end in like uh, WON. I think it's Monday and Sunday both end in ON as opposed to a W. But
Huh.
yeah, it was first written. The spelling system was written. Um, no, that. Oh no, okay. It was standardized by an institute in 1986. According to the 2016 census, there's 6,165 people who speak this language. Um, Along the upper reaches of the Saint Maurice River, um, they, the, the people group, they're a politically distinct nation that are a variety of Cree. Most people who speak
And
this
we only
also
know to
speak
call them,
French.
and we only know to call the place they live res because we've been watching Letterkenny.
I don't think that's in Quebec, is it?
Well, it's in Canada, but not Quebec, no, because they make fun of the Frenchies over in Quebec. Whoa.
If anyone wants
Big info dump on Discord.
if anyone wants information that I've read on the people group, there you go. But I put it
A
in.
Tikkumwekwa is a variety of Cree, an Algonquin language, and is spoken in southwestern Quebec in
These
Canada.
these are things I said it all. I just wanted reference to show. And
Yeah.
this is an online encyclopedia of writing systems and languages is where I got this from. Um, and it doesn't give you guys the pretty little thing at the bottom that shows the alphabet. Um, but I got to see that. The alphabet is much smaller than ours. It's only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 letters. Which is why W shows up so much, because it's.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly, Biggs. This was sheerly posted to prove I am not insane. That is the only reason that this Google search was done, was to prove a joke I have been making for the better part of my life, that well, I only eat people on days that end with W, and I only do this on days that end with W, and everyone always says, Bill, you can attest this. I have made this joke forever, and your response is always, no days end in W, Nooms. And um, we've now got to make a extended family vacation to Quebec so I can start. Um, my luck, though, if I ever do it, we'd end up being there on one of the days that don't end in W.
It would
And
be
then
a Sunday or a
it'd
Monday.
be a Sunday or Monday, and I would forget that part, and they'd be like, "Doesn't end with W now, friend." And you're like, "Oh crap." Um,
This was supposed to be the culmination of my lifelong joke.
Yeah, this is my lifelong joke here where I get to. Nope.
All right. The Berean Manifesto podcast comes out on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we do record it live on Sunday evenings at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you can check out our website, www.ekk.house, to find out which Twitch, which YouTube, and which Facebook you can find us at to watch live and participate in the chat as Biggs and Zadie have done, which are actually Pastor Nooms' father and wife. So maybe some other people could come participate too, because I'm feeling a little outnumbered here.
There's
So
a
if we
lot
could
of
get some
holding
more
on this
voices,
side.
because there's a whole lot of holding going on over on his side of and not a lot of stuff on my side. So I need some guests to come and back me up. All right. So we love you guys, and we hope that this something in here has sparked something in you, and you can share it and use this information. And yeah, I can't remember what I say next.
We love you, and we
Love you
hope to see you next
guys.
time. And I don't remember either now. We've only been
Okay,
doing
well
this for 5 years.
you say now you say your part.
Make sure you're safe out there, guys.
And until next time.
And as Biggs has already called for because he's fed up with the evening as well.
Oh, it was have a great week. We love you. Have a great week.
You've missed it already. I'm gonna cut all of this
I
off.
did. I missed it.
Yeah.
30-second buffer.
Buffer.
30
30
second
second
buffer.
buffer.
30
30
second
second
buffer.
buffer.
Has it been 30 seconds yet?
Not yet. Oh my
Nope.
gosh.
That's not how time works. 30-second buffer.
30
second
second
buffer.
buffer.
30
30
second
second
buffer.
buffer. It's time to go get a snack.
I'm sure that's enough. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye bye.